Hello everyone, it's Tommy from TechNexus and thanks for joining me for today's video. So a couple of days ago we started laying out our plant project and I laid out our sort of slab or bund area that we want for this project. So that was in area 00 because it was part of just the main general area. It's a structural model or it's the first one. So the second model that we're going to do will be the north-south pipe rack, and then the third model will be the east-west pipe rack. So I've also got area 1, area 2 and 3 disciplines in there, but because the pipe racks for this example is in a sort of a general area where they're going to be under the 00 area. So I'm going to close off that first model. And then I'm going to open up the second structural model. So this is going to be our north-south pipe rack. Now, inside Plant 3D, instead of going through, trying to find XREFs and locate where they are, if the files are part of the project, we can just right-click on the file, XREF into current drawing, and it loads up the name, attachment or overlay, scale insertion point. I like to do overlay. And then there's our bunded area slab inside our north-south pipe rack model. So to do the north-south pipe rack, I can start off with a grid, and I'm just going to call it north-south pipe rack. And I've got 0, so the axes are 0, 6, 12, 18, 24, and 30 meters. I only want 1, 2, 3 of them. Let's say we only want the 3 of them for now. 3 meter rows and 4 and 8 meter platform values. And I'll just show you what that means before we jump into actually changing and modifying them as well. So I'm just going to leave it as the UCS, and there you can see it places it in there as well. So now we can just use a normal rotate command to rotate it, or you can do the 3D rotate command, place it at the base, and then say we want to rotate it around that axis. Okay, and then I want to move it from the midpoint of this grid to the midpoint of the slab. And then there you go. So there we have the rack. So 0, 6, 12, 18 spacings. So then we got 3 meters wide. I think that's a bit small. I'm going to make it 6. And the platform. So I want steel members going along the rack, and I also want them coming across the pipe rack as well, because if we roll on and off a pipe rack, we want to come off the longitudinal axis of the rack and then either go up or down and then have another member to sit on. So if we start at 4 meters, I want to do a platform every meter until we get to the top. So 4 in one direction, 5, 6, and then 7. So we've got 4 and 6 this way and 5 and 7 that way, and then I'll put a third one at the top for 8 meters. So the axes there are A, B, C, D. The row names are 1 and 2, and we got 4, 8 for our levels. So I'm going to put them in as 4, 5 plus 6 plus 7 and plus 8. And then there you go. So it's going to make a bit more sense when we start putting the members in. So I'm just going to move this back to the midpoint of the slab. And then we're going to start putting in our structural members. So I can go to member and just start doing it, but I want to look at the settings first. So I go to the settings pull down, member settings, and I've got DIN, CISC, and AISC, and you see there that I've got the Australian standards in there. Now by default that doesn't get installed with Plant 3D. You have to install that separately. So on your Plant 3D screen at the top right, click on the App Store icon, and it will take you to the Autodesk App Store where you can download some more catalogs. So they might be the Australian standards, they might be overseas standards, again depending on where you're working and what you're doing. So I'm just going to fire this up manually. So when you do click on that icon and we do get into the App Store, you can see here that on the left we've got a pull down called Catalogs and Specs. And if you go to Free Apps, then you'll see the Autodesk apps here that are the catalogs for free. And there is an Australia, New Zealand, structural steel sections content pack there. You can click on that, click on the download, and it'll install it, and you'll get all of these sections here. So now that we're in here, I'm going to make them my default. So for let's do universal columns, and let's make them 250 UCs. So that's the setting. So then I click on member, go from endpoint to endpoint, and there's our first column. So I want to copy that around. So I can just use normal AutoCAD commands to copy this around. So I'm just going from end snap to end snap. And then I know I have 3 levels for my pipe rack, and I've got some other members that will be coming across the rack and some will be going along the length of it. So from here I'm going to have 3 coming across this horizontal. So S for settings, and then make them universal beams, and I'll call them 250 UBs, and do the orientation at the top center and go OK. And then I'm going to put these members across here. Okay, and then just use the normal AutoCAD copy commands to copy between base points, and then do the same for the next bay. So copy from D to C to B. And then we're going to do the opposing members, which is where our pipes are going to sit on the pipe rack. So again, same thing. I'm going to use the same members, so I don't need to change the settings. So copy this down 2 meters and then 4 meters. So there you can see that as the pipe goes along the rack, it can roll down or up depending on which level it's going to be on. So I do the same for these members. So I come across 6 meters, 12 and 18. Just delete these ones that are a mistake. So now what I can do is just to show that. So I just go into my XREF and I'm going to hide the base. And there's our pipe rack there. So we've got, if I look at it from the front, so our pipes will be sitting on levels 8, 6 and 4. And then they'll be rolling off the rack at levels 7 and 5. So from 4 it'll come up. From 6 it'll come up or down, and from 8 it can roll down. Again, your standards or settings will be different. Not all projects are the same, so again, keep that in mind when you're modeling this. So for the next rack, I'm going to do something similar, except I'm going to go in the east-west direction. So we'll go through this next part pretty quickly, and we'll turn the fast forward on. Okay, so there we have the secondary pipe rack. So again, you can adjust these so however the pipe will roll on or off will depend on where it is, I guess, in the project and how it needs to get there. So don't take this as being gospel. Your project will be different. So looking at this as an overall model, you can see here we get our north-south. I've made that 6 meters wide with all the levels, and then I've made the east-west 3 meters wide with the same levels there as well. So now that we've done that, I'm just going to lay out an orthographic drawing just to show that we're going to start off with just sort of doing, I guess, like a master plan or a master plot plan of it. So I'm going to say that it's area 00. And then I'm just going to say that's a GA, and it starts at drawing number 100. So there's my ortho sheet. So what I want to do, when we get into the orthos, it sets up a new ribbon for us, so we do a new view. So what do I want? I want area 00, the structure. I could do the piping models now, but I won't. So what Plant 3D will do is essentially kind of like an XREF, and then we can determine what we want to see. So top, bottom, left, or right, any isometric views or the current view. So we just want this to be a top view. I can add a jog, which means it'll cut out part of the cube to look behind other things, for example. I don't want to do that for now. I'm not adding any 3D models. I can save these settings, save the view configuration. Hidden line piping, no hidden lines or all hidden lines. So this just means that anything that is piping will be hidden. So I'm going to do no hidden lines because I just want to see a flat top view. In ortho, we can turn on match lines and cut pipe symbols, which we don't have any pipe in here, but it doesn't really matter. So at a scale of 1 to 100, I can check it against the paper, and I can see that it's going to fit inside that sheet quite nicely there. So I'm just going to go OK. And for now, I'm going to stick it in the middle of the sheet. And then there's our view looking down from the top of this slab. So from here, I can just use normal AutoCAD dimensional commands. So I've got the dimensions up here. So what's the first line? So the first line is this bottom left corner. Into there. You can see there that it's 12 meters, so I can keep going with that. And then let's maybe dimension up to here as well, just to show you. So again, there's our ortho layout. There's some of the dimensions there. I haven't set up any dimension styles, but as we progress through the models, I'll demonstrate on here how we update the views, and then that way we don't have to keep recreating them. So that concludes today's video. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, click the like button. If you didn't, click the dislike button. But please subscribe to the channel and come back and check every day for my daily videos. Thanks for watching.